Welcome back to this episode of Pasture Defense. For this episode, we're going to have Todd Steen join us once again to go in depth about dairy nutrition and the proper care for a dairy cow. So sit back and relax and fill up a cup of chocolate milk or a glass of regular milk and enjoy this episode.
I'm Milton Beard. This is Blackjack Ridge Dairy is what we call it. I bought this old place in 1972. It was all woods and was planning on being in the beef business. I was raised on a dairy farm and I didn't want no part of it. But the beef wasn't doing too well, so I let them talk me into going into partnership with my father, and we came here and built this in 1978 in partnership with him in the dairy business for 10 years. He retired. My plan was to milk 80 real good registered cows. Get a few more cows, and you got to buy another piece of equipment. Get another piece of equipment, you got to have a few more cows. So anyway, today and for the last several years, been around 700 cows. That's milking and dry. We try to keep about anywhere from 580 to 620 in the barn. Sometimes we might get up to about 640, but that's overcrowded. Our limiting factor is we don't have enough land to grow enough feed. We try to have about 450 to 500 acres of corn and various fields of orchard grass and other grass harvest, mostly corn silage. We buy alfalfa, milk 3 times a day. 2-year-olds are fed a separate ration from the older cows. We produce about 5,000 gallons of milk a day. We haul our own milk from Murfreesboro, Tennessee to the Heritage Farming plant there. We have usually 12 to 13 employees full-time and a part-time 1 or 2, plus my son and my daughter. They work with me here as well.
What is your favorite part about farming?
The cows.
Easy question. What's the most challenging part about farming? I know you said lack of land. Is there anything else that's challenging?
The financial aspect of it is most challenging, the ups and downs of the milk price. We've lost $8 a hundredweight at least in the last few months, and that translates to about $120,000 a month. It's very difficult to manage through the highs and lows.
Todd, thank you for joining us again for this episode of Pasture Defense. We're happy to have you. This is our dairy episode, and I know that you are the dairy master in this co-op feed system. So if you don't mind, give us a little bit of background on why you are a credible source on dairy feed and dairy.
Well, I am fixing to go into, for my career, I'll soon be into my 35th year of doing this. It started after I got out of grad school from the University of Tennessee. I went north to the state of Indiana, where I did all the dairy nutrition, balanced the rations, formulated all the feeds, on-farm consultations, all of those. Also, I had a research program, which I still have a research program. And as a kid, I never remember my father, if my father was ever milking. If he ever did, I don't remember it, but my grandfather, when he milked Guernsey, huge Jersey. But back in the day, way back in the day, so I kind of came from a dairy, not godly, but pretty close from it, and then went and did that as graduate school. And it started up north, and I've been back at Tennessee Farmers for more than 25 years. of which I did through all the ruminant nutrition, and of which dairy nutrition has been a big part.
We're happy to have you with this co-op feed system, and we are going to dive into the nutrition part of dairy feed. So Todd, if you don't mind, go into a little bit about the nutrition of a dairy cow, hay versus silage, anything like that.
Well, when you start looking at the cow, one of the things you'll notice here is PMR, total mixed ration, meaning everything is all mixed together. You'll see a lot of forage products. The forage drives the bone. You cannot get around it. You gotta have forage. Better the quality of the forage, the more opportunities that the cow has for digestion. The faster, the better the digestion, the more milk it gets. Bottom line. So the feeding program matches the forage. Whatever the forage has, whatever the producer has, we'll analyze that forage program and we'll build the supplementation around it. And the higher the quality, which I consider from a quality perspective is what is the digestibility. We have ways of estimating, not a true thing, but it's an estimate for us to be able to balance and put that together. Silage versus dry hay. You will notice that there is some dry hay in this particular ration for these particular cows. There's also quite a bit of corn silage in there. The corn silage in and of itself is a wet fermented product, meaning that you'll harvest at something that will have moisture content. I'm going to say average about 70. It could be a little wetter, it could be a little warmer, obviously. But you pack it real tight, and you pack it to get all of the oxygen, and have it in such a manner that you get anaerobic fermentation. And this anaerobic fermentation protects it from mold and spoilage and what have you. And by the time you unpack it and you dip it out to feed it for the animal, well, it's a very palatable, very high energy, very good feed stuff. Yeah. When you look at it here in the state of Tennessee, if you wanted to equate on a per acre basis, that corn silage is probably the cheapest source of energy per acre that we can do. So it's a very good, palatable, good, prominent feedstock. Downside to it is it's relatively low in protein. We know that there's not enough protein in it to satisfy a high-producing lactation cows.
So that's where you can.
Well, we want to balance it for what it is. And some producers feed a lot of corn silage, which is a very high percentage, maybe even as much on an asset basis as 85 pounds per day. And some will feed less, depending on what supplies they do have. Could be as little as 25, 30 pounds per head per day. Some people, we do have some producers that don't feed anything. They'll feed 100% hay diet. Nothing wrong. You know, forage is what it is. You just simply balance it and match it to what it is.
And we know that cows have Holsteins. So what do the Holsteins do for the nutritional part and the food?
So with the cow, we've always learned that we have the reticulum, the rumen, the omason, and the abomason. The reticulo-rumen portion of it is what we would call the forestomach above that four-compartment organ. The rumen is the biggest on the cow. The lactating cow will be the biggest developed portion. Be very huge, and that is where the fermentation goes. A lot of the digestion goes on. Now, because of that particular organ and the development of that, then the animal is able to consume and digest beta complex carbohydrates that you and I cannot do. In other words, the full. We can't go out here and grab a handful of grass and chew it and swallow it and expect to do anything with it or it'll come back. Now, the animal in and of itself does not have the enzymatic action to do it. It's the lumen and the fermentation of the lumen that actually breaks those beta carbohydrates down for the animal to be able to develop energy and protein. Now, populating in that particular organ, we were talking about the rumen, are bacteria and microbes. And it's actually the microbial populations within that organ is what does the digestion. And the byproducts of that microbial digestion are volatile fatty acids that are absorbed, and very, very good source of energy for the animal. And quite frankly, you can't get around it. We kill the rumen, we kill that, the animal can't. So we have to keep that in shape. And it is a very sensitive environment, so we cannot allow for a lot of wild fluctuations in pH because of the sensitivity of these bacteria, all these microbes, protozoals, and of the inhabitants of them. So we have to balance it in such a manner to keep the acid in check. Just like you and I. We always talk about heartburn if we overeat or eat the wrong thing, which we go reach for an acid, a Maalox or some kind of food. Yeah. Same difference here. They just feel that burn a whole lot more than what we do. So that digestion takes place. It moves on down into the omasum, which is a little round organ. Some people call it mini flies because there's a lot of projections in there, and that basically filtrates out a lot of the water. And then after it goes through, it passes the abomasum, which is basically the true stomach, which would be not a whole lot different than the development of our stomach. So we call that more the true stomach. And then, of course, you go down the lower tract, you go out from the abomasum down into the intestines, and whatever there, where you get to more further digestion taking place there.
Very interesting stuff. So, I don't know if you mentioned this earlier, but how much water is necessary?
Oh, very good question, because we are in the summer here. We're in July.
Sweaty.
And as you can tell, you don't get the fans going and the misters going to try to keep everybody cool. There is a very, very good calculations on water requirements. They're very good. As a rule of thumb, it's on the basis of body weight and how much milk production the lactating cow is producing. But when it gets right down to it, cows like this should be drinking about 35 gallons, if not more. Real high producing cows, it does have quite a few of them that, particularly in this group up here, that have just been milked. You know, they'll have quite a few of them, 160, 170 pounds in this high group back there. Those cows may be drinking more. Closer to 40. But there's very good equations. We have to really narrow down to be able to say that. Water quality is another issue. Because the last thing we really want to do is for lactating down like that is to have unfresh, unclean water. So we want to make sure we provide that and provide as much as we can. Remember now, that's the cheapest nutrient. So you got to have it. Think about 35 gallons. 38 gallons is that's quite a lot.
So, Todd, we talked enough about the cow, I think, in this episode. What are some things that we want to point out in the actual product of a dairy cow versus a milk?
Well, first things first, the American dairy farmer is the cleanest producer of human-grade food. With all the testing that is done, with all the inspections and everything. So it's very clean. And then obviously the product and everything is obviously very wholesome, very good benefit. As a matter of fact, a human can sustain its entire life on humans because it would have all of the essential, the non-essential amino acids. It would have free of the carbohydrates and the energy. It would be the second most perfect food, an egg, perhaps, in most ways. A very wholesome product, very good. But you very well know it's the number one sports drink. Recovery drink. Most people like the chocolate milk. I know you're a chocolate milk. I like the whole milk. First. Very well know it's a great source of calcium. Probably about grass, probably have 30% of the calcium requirement. A lot of the store-bought milk and what have you that have vitamins E in the bag. And milk in themselves is a great source of vitamin A. As far as the protein aspect of it, it's phenomenal protein. And obviously, sports drink, protein shakes, have a lot of dairy basis to it. Two main proteins that you have is whey and casein. A lot of data out there that suggests that casein is positive for blood pressure. And a lot of data out there suggesting whey protein is good on overall food and stress. If that's truly the case, I'll be the least stressed person in the world that eats milk is like that. But it's a very wholesome product. Now, the downside is that there are some folks that are allergic to the sugar portion, to the lactose. Some people are lactose intolerant. And the protein, some people have a more stress. Some people, which is a shame because it's a very good health.
So what's the difference between pasteurized and unpasteurized?
The pasteurized portion of it is basically we're killing off the bacteria that's in the product. Unpasteurized means that it has come right out of the cow and there's been no treatment for it whatsoever. I think a lot of us that grew up on a farm, way back in the day, a lot of us drink out of that. Drink right out of the plants. Even though it would be cold filtered, it takes a lot of that with good things. But unpasteurized, sending unpasteurized on. So it's best to be able to be on the safe side and do it. Some people think that it's the case. There's real data on the significant difference. And then you have the homogenized, unhomogenized. That is related to the fat droppers. So homogenized is subjected to a very high spin, which will basically explode the fat molecules. Will basically put it within the milk and you don't get any separation. Unpasteurized obviously doesn't do that, so you will see that the fat portion will rise to the top. A lot of people prefer that. Some of the products you see out there, we'll call it cream line milk, where you will see it and you shake it up and puts it back in the system. Whereas a lot of the grocery store milk is homogeneous. So fat globules are exploded and it's producing milk like the oil. Of course, about that. Again, there's really no real data that suggests that the taste is significantly different than some people have heard of it. It's nothing wrong with it. I personally prefer the pasteurized over the unpasteurized.
I think I would too. I can agree. Well, Todd, I think you have covered a lot over dairy cows and milk in this episode. Is there anything else that you would like to share with our viewers out there?
Well, obviously, the dairy farmer is subjected to a lot of work, a lot of market volatility as the milk prices go up and down. Very hard working, very hard stewards of the environment, of their animals and what have you. And it's a blessing to be able to work because you're talking about people that really truly care. Sometimes you probably can't believe a lot of the media give it a bad name, a bad rap. It's simply not true. Just simply don't see that on there. Excruciating encounter. Very few and far between it's a pleasure working. It's been very fulfilling with some 35 years tonight.
And Co-op is proud to offer our services to dairy farmers within the Tennessee and Southeastern region. And I'm sure you are happy to have anybody available or need your assistance.
Since we do that, I deal with a lot of folks happy to do it. We have a lot of personnel that are very good on the overall managerial aspect of it. So, whatever your needs may be.
Thank you for joining us, Todd, on this beautiful farm, and hope to see you soon. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Pasture to Pets. We have learned so much about dairy cows and the end product that they produce. I don't know about you, but I'm ready for a scoop of ice cream. And also, we want to thank Blackjack Ridge Dairy for having us out here on a beautiful day and on their beautiful farm, including all of their great cows that are producing great milk to supply you and your families with a wholesome product within Middle Tennessee. Thank you for joining us.